Just about 180 days ago, the Biden administration dropped their executive order, one of the longest executive orders in history, all about artificial intelligence. A number of the actions had 180-day deadlines. And so today we're going to check in on everything that has happened since. Welcome back to the AI Breakdown. 6 months in AI time is about 100 years in any other industry. In the past 6 months, from a technology standpoint, we've seen so much. We've seen GPT-4 class models become normalized, with everything from Claude 3 Opus to Google Gemini, to now even Llama 3 kicking up in that direction from an open source perspective. We've seen the rise of the AI hardware trend, and consequently the rise of the Marques Brownlee destroying the AI hardware trend with his reviews. AI agents remain the next big thing coming down the pipeline, as they have now for over a year, and adoption has continued to advance. What hasn't changed much in that time is any sort of official US policy towards the industry. Well, a couple days ago, on April 29th, the White House followed up from its executive order to discuss which actions had been completed that were assigned to be completed within the first 180 days. Basically, the way that this executive order worked was that it instructed various agencies across the government to do stuff, and it gave them deadlines to do that stuff. Most of it was the preparing of research, reports, proposals. It wasn't necessarily policy action, it was all of the initial stuff that you would need to eventually take smarter action. Today we're going to look at some of the key highlights that the administration has called out. Right at the top of the list, we have managing risks to safety and security. Now, you may have heard that we were talking about the Department of Homeland Security earlier this week because of their new AI Safety and Security Board, the membership of which has caused much consternation, and they were one of the agencies that was part of this whole 180-day process. One of the callouts from the White House is the establishment of a framework for nucleic acid synthesis screening to help prevent the misuse of AI for engineering dangerous biological materials. Basically, chemical and biological threats are a big concern, specifically that AI will make them easier for nefarious actors to get access to or fabricate. The DHS released a report on this, parts of which were unsealed. When it comes to what specifically they're worried about, Javed Ali, the former senior counterterrorism coordinator on the National Security Council, said, "The degree to which nation-states or groups interested in pursuing these unconventional weapons capabilities will harness such AI tools remains unclear. However, since there are various technical and logistical hurdles that have to be met to develop fully functioning weapon systems that can be used, it is more likely that AI tools will be more helpful on the research and theoretical design end of the spectrum than the actual manufacture and deployment of such weapons." Speaking of the Department of Homeland Security, the White House also called out the launch of that AI Safety and Security Board as one of the accomplishments. Keeping in the safety and security theme, the White House discusses the public comment draft on documents for managing AI risks, as well as international standards development in AI, with an eye to expanding upon the National Institute for Standards and Technology's AI risk management framework. I don't think it's any surprise that safety and security comes right at the top. I think it reflects both the reality of how the White House and the DC establishment in general views the hierarchy of concerns, but it also reflects the politics of the situation. The second category of actions for the last 180 days that the White House talks about, they call standing up for workers, consumers, and civil rights. Some of the actions there included developing bedrock principles and practices for employers and developers to build and deploy AI safely in ways that empower workers, releasing guidance to assist federal contractors and employers comply with worker protection laws as they deploy AI, releasing resources for job seekers, workers, and tech vendors and creators on how AI could violate employment discrimination laws, issuing guidance for AI's non-discriminatory use in the housing sector, and the beginnings of a strategy for ensuring safety and effectiveness in AI deployed in the healthcare sector. The third category that the White House discusses is less about risk mitigation and more about seizing AI opportunity, particularly in the realm of scientific research. The White House calls this collection of actions harnessing AI for good. That includes Department of Energy funding opportunities to support the application of AI for science, launching pilots, partnerships, and new AI tools to address energy challenges and advance clean energy, and authoring a report on AI's role in advancing scientific research to help tackle major societal challenges. Now, you might also remember that when the White House laid out all of these ambitious plans around AI, it recognized that it didn't necessarily have the talent in-house to really do what it needed to do. And so the government set out to hire a bunch of experts and even gave a name to the effort, which they called the AI Talent Surge. The new update document from the White House says that federal agencies have subsequently hired over 150 AI and AI-enabling professionals. Now, if you are interested in the status of the full set of activities that were articulated in the executive order, they also have a handy cheat sheet organized by the required timeline. Overall, there are more than 35 actions that were on this 180-day timeline. So where does this leave us? Well, it's clear that government agencies have a much deeper understanding now of the AI space and what the implications for their particular area might be than they did 6 months ago. And that alone is encouraging. However, what this doesn't represent is any sort of actual legislative policy when it comes to the overall regulation of AI in the United States. In other words, this is an agency-centric process, a remaking of the DC bureaucratic establishment in the context of AI, which is on the one hand very necessary, but also, of course, insufficient as well. In the meantime, comprehensive AI legislation continues to be introduced. The latest is something called the Future of AI Innovation Act, which was sponsored by Republicans Todd Young and Marsha Blackburn, and Democrats Maria Cantwell and John Hickenlooper. It would authorize the NIST AI Safety Institute to develop AI standards. It would create new AI testbeds with national laboratories to evaluate AI models. It would create challenge prize competitions to spur private sector innovation. It would make available public data sets, and it would attempt to create international alliances around AI standards. Said Senator Cantwell, "Our bill ensures the United States will lead on AI for decades to come. It promotes public-private collaboration to drive innovation and competitiveness. It will lay a strong foundation for America's evolving AI tech economy for years to come." Of course, we are in an election year that makes it a very difficult time to get anything done. Is AI the rare thing that's so important to either leaders or their constituents that it may buck the trend and actually see action taken even in an election year? Jury's still out. But whether it happens now or on the other side of November, I expect to see a much more aggressive push from the US when it comes to AI rules and regulations in the not too distant future. For now, though, that is going to do it for the AI Breakdown. Until next time, peace.